Hi, Jason. I'm Sarah from the Upcoming. Such a pleasure to be able to speak to you today. Maybe you could just kick off with a brief introduction to this incredible film. I think it's coming out next week. Or is it this week? Next week? Um,
Yeah, coming out on the 31st, Dungeons and Dragons. It'll be exciting. It's a heist film, essentially, with spells, wizards, and owlbears, and lots of little surprises for the D&D fan base who play the tabletop game. But also, if you haven't played the tabletop game, it's going to be a great, exciting family fun movie. It really spans across the age ranges, and I'm sure people who play the tabletop games, this is a great way for them to connect with their families and friends and go, "Hey, look, this is a new probably introducing someone for the first time about it, because I believe the TV show came out in the early 80s. I just missed that cusp, but I didn't get to play the tabletop game growing up. But a lot of my friends around me, I'm just finding out now when they go, "Oh my god, I played you're in D&D, you're playing, do you play?" I was like, no, I haven't played just yet because I've been busy filming. But it's an exciting new film that I feel that audiences will be able to connect to. It's just a good popcorn film.
mm. And yeah, I mean, I guess if you hadn't grown up playing the game, when you first read the script or you had the offer to come on board, did you have to kind of go back and do kind of your own research and kind of immerse yourself in this world, or was plenty of it all there in the script for you to rely on?
A lot of it was already in the script. There were some things I wasn't too sure with, like why is an owlbear an owlbear? I remember having a chat with Hugh Grant. Jay, he just looked at me and goes, "Jay, what the hell is an owlbear? Why is it called an owlbear?" I was just like, I don't look at me. So there's lots of material online, which was great. So straight away, I just typed in my character the fact that it's a Diane warrior, and I looked it up. But I also had my friend Alex, and he was a great resource. So I was just like, why does he have a green flame on his sword? What's his history? And he gave me the full load. He literally at the pub sat me down for half an hour, told me the whole D&D universe, and told me all these different characters, because I was just reading off different types of characters. And so I had people to research, which is unusual because normally when you get these scripts, you can't really talk about it. And I didn't reveal any plot lines, but I just asked him about different types of characters. He just literally sat me there for half an hour, literally in the pub, telling me about all these different things. And I'm just like writing loads of notes. But one of the key things for me was the character he doesn't speak English. He speaks Diane. So my whole entire dialogue with Reggae on pages, we speak Diane. So we speak a different magical wizardry language. That's not the right term, which someone's going to come after me for that. But he speaks Diane, and so I had to learn that. So I had to work with a dialect coach, and I believe Brendan was the one who created the language of Dothraki for Game of Thrones. So I worked with him, and it was just this made-up language. So it was really that, and he wrote the whole phonics of the language. He has this whole dictionary, so he wrote the whole thing, and then I had to do dialect sessions with him and really get the intonations right. So Sophia Daisy Head, who plays Safina, she had to also learn, and we have our dialogue scene in Diane as well. So we had to learn a made-up language, which I love because I loved Lord of the Rings, and it just reminded me of that. And the fact that I was wielding a sword and playing this warrior, I just loved it. And I knew I was going to be in loads of makeup as well when I saw the sketching. I was like, I really want elf ears, but I didn't get it. So yeah, I didn't have to do too much research. It was all there, but there was lots of things there for me to really be able to hold on to.
Mm. And tell us a bit more about your character specifically, and kind of what might be the appeal actually of playing a villain. Because I remember seeing an interview with Val Kilmer saying when he played Batman, he was actually really jealous of Jim Carrey, and Tommy Jones playing the baddies, because it's like maybe you can lean into it a bit more and you can be a bit more expressive than when you're playing a good guy. So was that an appeal for you?
Absolutely. I have a stint of playing bad guys, which I quite enjoy because I'm not a bad guy, but it's so much more fun playing the antagonists because you get to rile people up, you get to push people's buttons, and we don't really get to do that in society. So when I read the character, I was like, oh, he's really pushing buttons. He's not a nice guy. He's nasty, which in a psychotic way is quite fun playing, and you get to really go slightly big with the character. There was a moment where I went quite big, and I went, too big, Jason, too big. Go, tone it down a bit, down a bit, which I did. I just thought I didn't want to make him too caricature, but I wanted to make him quite dark. So I had the reference with Tom Hardy from Bane. That is for me, and that right balance of almost like a samurai warrior, that he is so dedicated to taking out Reggae Jean Page and Chris Pine and all that crew and going after them. So for me, he was quite dark. Like from what did I say? I said he eats souls for breakfast. He loves he's that killer, he's that classic warrior assassin type character. And I think all my costume was based quite samurai and assassin type character, and he's quite dark. Even my makeup that I spent 3.5 hours, it was like almost like a ninja mask, which I loved. So yeah, based on that, so it wasn't too hard to lean into. I really enjoyed it, and maybe a bit too much, because there was a moment where I think I was just there reciting my lines, and then I was looking at someone. I was just in my gaze, and I think it was someone on the camera crew, and they just looked at me like that, and I just looked at them like really evil. I was like, "Oh, sorry." I'm just. So I had to check myself sometimes. All right, stop looking at people in a weird way, because with the makeup and everything, he's quite creepy. He's quite scary, and then with the hood up, you're just like, okay, this guy screams death. So that was fun.
Your own version of like method acting, just like getting into character a bit too much.
Oh yeah, I was just remembering because of the dialect. Sometimes they would change the intonation of the word, so it wasn't so much. I'm not really a method actor in that sense, but just remembering how the intonation of dialogue happens. So sometimes I just go into it and I forget. Even when I'm on the tube sometimes and I'm learning my lines for something, and I forget that there are people around me, and I'll just look at this like poor little old woman, and she goes, "Oh my god," and I'm like muttering myself, looking really menacing and horrible. I have to recheck myself sometimes, but the tube's really fun. Like you can always tell when there's actors on the tube learning their lines, because they're so much in they're so in their zone, and you have to forget you're in the public.
And what is it like working on such a production of that scale? I mean, going onto these sets and then also working with all these incredible actors, from Chris Pine to Hugh Grant. I mean, it's just, an incredible ensemble cast actually as well. So what were some of the highlights and maybe some of the challenges on set?
Highlights for me is working with Chris Pine. He's one of my favorite actors. I didn't tell him this. I've already worked with Hugh on The Gentleman, so I met him. So that sort of fizzled out because I met him a few times already. So I was like, I'm not too Hugh fine, but Chris Pine, like Hell and High Water, he's always Star Trek. He's always been one of my favorite actors. So I had to really like contain my excitement. And I think when we're at the airport, he was like, "Do you want a coffee, Jen?" I went, yeah, sure." I was like, this is a surreal moment. So, but when I did step onto set, when I first got the part, I was like, okay, cool. This is it's another cool part. But I didn't get overwhelmed until I got onto set, and you had these 100-foot blue screens surrounding you, and you had all these incredible sets going on. And then I saw the magnitude of the costume design and the detail, and there's leather makers, and then there's a swordsmith, an actual swordsmith like hammering away in the background. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I think it was all the speciality areas like costume and swordsmiths that made me go, "Ooh, they built a ship for this." They literally built a brand new ship for this whole sequence. And I was like, okay, this is a big project. This is probably one of my biggest to date. And it was overwhelming at moments, but I had to contain it because I still had to, kill all these people or go after these people. So I had to like suppress all my fanboyisms. And Michelle Rodriguez, I grew up watching that franchise, so I was trying to, and then she came up to me and went, "Hey Jay, can we get a selfie?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." So it doesn't happen to me, but yeah, it was nice. And reggae, we've got mutual friends, so I wasn't too. I never watched Bridgerton either, and after that, I still can't really watch Bridgerton because I was like, "Reggae, I know you now. I see your butt. I don't want to see your butt." So, and he's just like, "Watch it up to episode 3, and then maybe pause, and then jump a few chapters." Because I was like, "Okay, because that's too much of you. I don't want to see that."
Hilarious. And what do you hope people can take away from watching this film? And I feel like there seems to be quite a trend, or there's certainly an appetite at the moment for these really sort of epic kind of fantasy, series and films. And I don't know whether it's kind of the element of escapism. Things in the world right now are quite difficult to sort of handle, and you can step into the cinema and forget about it all for kind of a period of time. So do you think that's sort of part of the appeal?
I did, and when I went and watched it with my friends, when I went in there and watched it, what I did get a sense was family. And that's a real strong basis of this story, how family drives it. That's why it's a great family film. You also can escape with just the CGI and the whole setup, the big fight scenes that me and Reggae have. And then there's lots of like magical spells, and it's just something fun. It just reminded me when I first watched Harry Potter, and I was like, oh my god, I'm immersed in this magical world. Because since we were kids, we all wanted to be able to shoot lasers or throw green flames out our sword. When we were kids, we all did that, and it just brings you back to your childhood. And I feel that when people watch this, people who are fans of the tabletop game, or people who are just coming or haven't ever encountered it, young people, young teenagers watching this as well, will be really immersed, and hopefully it also brings them into a tabletop game, because we're so consumed by computer games, and we're so consumed by our phones and iPads and other electronic devices, that this might actually draw people together to go back to storytelling, because that's essentially what the story tabletop game does. It brings you back to the age-old telling of stories and being around to have family fun around the table. I mean, Monopoly is always controversial. Everyone always ends up in arguments, but I think this tabletop game, you can really maneuver and work your way around the narrative that you want to create for your character. So it's going to be a different way. I think we'll see a different generation. Hopefully, brings a different generation of people go back to the tabletop game, but also with the film, people can start dressing up as a barge and going as sorcerers and different types of druids. It'll be fun to go back into that, and it's just going back to the imagination of people and playing the game.
Absolutely. I'm almost out of time, but you've done so many interesting things, from TV to film. What have been some of the highlights, and can you give us a little bit of a hint about what we can expect from The Covenant and what it was like working with Guy Ritchie?
The Covenant, this is something that I watched it the other day, and it's a beautiful film. It's a beautifully shot film, and you don't normally say those words when you think Guy Ritchie. You go, okay, it's gritty, it is action packed, but it's just cinematically beautifully shot. But it's also a very beautiful, vulnerable story about Dar Salim and helping Jake Gyllenhaal's character out. And you'll see that John Kinley, who Jake Gyllenhaal plays, I feel that you really see more vulnerability in very alpha characters that you traditionally see in Guy films, and you'll see a softer side to that, which you won't necessarily associate when you say Guy Ritchie films. But what it does, it's a camaraderie. Again, it's based in about family. It's about family. It's about promise that a person's made, about loyalty. So you'll see a lot of that, but you'll still have a good shoot 'em up in the film. It's it's an action film, but for me, there's definitely more tenderness, and also performances from Johnny Lee Miller, Alexander Ludwig, Emmy Beecham, the rest of the guys in the cast as well. There's just fun moments in there, and you'll still have those classic Guy-isms as well, and where you'll have like little one-liners that people go, "Oh, that was a good one." But for me, when I watched it, I was like, "Wow, it's a beautiful film." That's what I saw from it, and you'll see something that I saw something, because I've done a few now with Guy, about 3 pictures with him now. You don't necessarily always see a huge amount of vulnerability sometimes, because the storylines tend to be quite fast-paced, action-driven. And this you do. This is a moment where you're going to see a lot, and also exploring beginning aspects of soldiers post coming out of service, and see how that really affects families as well. And so you're going to be seeing that, and also looking at how we worked with Afghan interpreters at that time, which is still quite fresh in our memory. And if you speak to a lot of service people who were in the war, and how they were treated post exit, also explore some of those themes as well. So I feel it's going to be very fresh in a lot of people's memories, and I believe this is one of the first storylines we've seen talking about interpreters, and it's heavily focused on that, and it's not just about the Western forces, and it's about actually how it impacts on the local interpreters' lives as well, and their families, which is, I don't believe we've seen yet on camera or on TV. So yeah, that's what you can expect from that. And it's Jake Gyllenhaal, man. He's a great actor. Like,
I'd absolutely love to meet him.
I've hugged him, so hopefully I've got some of his goodness. But when I was doing my scene, this is always what they say, but when I was doing my scene with him, I just looked at him, he was looking at me, I was like, and the sun just beamed on him like he was an angel, and I was like, damn, he's got some blue eyes. I was like, I can see he's like proper, he looks like a movie star. Like, he's got this thick, luscious hair. He's just a good looking lad, but also a really nice guy and a great actor to work with. And I was like, I can't believe I'm here again. I'm like, how am I so jammy? I feel like I'm just being jammy my whole entire career. Like, I'm here with another great actor that I'm working with. And I got to work with some of my heroes in this project, which was nice. Like Johnny Lee Miller, I've been watching him since I was like 16. 15, 16 years old. We had the same drama teacher, Jake Gyllenhaal. He's just one of those icons. I think my favorite actors are Chris Pine, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Matthew McConaughey. And I've managed to work with them over 5 years, and I was like, well, okay, this is a different level now.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, if you're doing sort of like A-lister bingo, you're already making your way through pretty much most of the best actors in the business.
I feel like with The Gentleman, I did that quite a lot already. I was like, Colin Farrell, Charlie Hunnam, I got Henry there, I got Michelle Dockery. I was like, okay. I think sometimes you forget that because you're working and you're just doing it. But then when you tell your mates, it's a big thing for them, and it's going to be great because I get to bring them to the premiere tonight to D&D and hopefully share some of that experiences with them going onto the red carpet. And I'm just hoping none of them say anything embarrassing about me or do anything embarrassing whilst I'm doing that, because they're going to be that kind of past people.
They're definitely going to photobomb some interview or some.
Oh, I've already told her, I was like, if you do that, I will just turn around and throw my phone at you. I was like, I'm expecting one or two little cheeky moments, but you know what? It's all fun, and it's a nice way just to like. They're very good at keeping you humble. Remind me my place, so it'll be a good evening.
And in terms of your kind of future career, I mean, like we said, you've already ticked lots of boxes, but is there anything that you'd really love to try, really a director you'd love to work with, a genre you'd like to try that you've not done yet? What are your sort of ambitions or things that you haven't done yet?
I'd love to do a rom-com, but I'd love to do more. I'd love to do more art house films. And explore different types of characters who I've been going through a reign of tough guys at the moment. So something where it shows a bit more vulnerability. I got to do that a little bit when I was on Silent Witness, but I'd love to explore more of that moving forward. And directing 100%. I've got 3 projects that I would love to bring out to British TV and onto film. So I've got a detective show based in London that I would love to explore, and 2 American Westerns that I'm sort of writing at the moment. I know it's weird. I'm a boy from West London, born and raised, and I like Westerns. It's a weird thing, but I really love that genre. And so, yeah, I've got a couple of those things, and then also making a wine documentary. So these are things that I want to explore further, but acting wise, 100%, I'd love to play characters who are more vulnerable. I'm going through a stint of like really hardcore, like no emotions, just looking mean and angry. I think I'm filming Alex Rider right now, season 3. There was a moment I just stopped and was like, all right, I'm tired of playing angry people now. Angry people that just want to beat and kill people. But I wouldn't say no. I mean, I feel like Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro have made a career playing gangsters and bad guys, and they do it with complexity, and they do it really well. So I'm not going to complain. I would love to explore different genres, but yeah, something more chilled and laid back. Right, but I would never say no to a 007 film or a Tom Cruise picture. Like, those are just, I love making those pictures too, because they're just fun and they're just great to watch. When you're at the cinema, it just takes you away and you're just going, wow. And I think Dungeons and Dragons is going to do that because it's epic. That's the only way I can describe it. And when you watch the fight scenes, you're going to see that there's a lot of sore fingers. I can safely say, because a lot of actors do this, so I can safely say me and Reggae did 95% of our action sequence.
Oh, wow.
Like when we have a big battle together, 95% we did that, and we were training every single day, 3-4 hours each day in the stunt tent. And the director's like, yeah, we want this to be kind of like a Jackie Chan style film, and yeah, they definitely made us, because they said, Jackie Chan, you got to do your own stunts. So we're in there wielding these massive like 5 kg swords, whilst we got multiple attackers coming at us. And so yeah, we definitely had to do a lot of glute workouts, because there was a lot of sore fingers, and a lot of sore fingers. There was a lot of bang, ow, sorry. I was like, so there was a lot of that going on. But
well, yeah, I think they're looking for a new James Bond, aren't they? So maybe you can throw your hat in the ring.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to that, but yeah, you never know. It depends on the direction they take it. But yeah, it'll be exciting. I think that's probably all the actors are like going, okay, where are they going with this? Where are they going with this? And they don't reveal nothing. I was like, they're more secretive than the CIA and MI6 and MI5. They are like super stealth. No one knows anything about it. I was like, okay, But if you hear anything, let me know.
And just finally, how do you kind of see, I mean, whether we're talking about sort of the action genre, whether we're talking about rom-coms, whether we're talking about TV, how do you see kind of the opportunities now and in terms of representation, and being a non-white actor? And I know you've got kind of Malaysian and Singaporean heritage, and there seems to be lots of discussions going on right now about how we sort of see our own identity, and particularly here in the UK. And how does that kind of play out for you in your career? And do you think it's different in the US than it might be here in terms of the opportunities that you get?
I feel representation is something that should always be duplicated on TV, because the films and TV shows we watch is a reflection of society, and society is growing, it's evolving, and there's different cultures and ethnicities and different shapes and forms in different parts of day-to-day life. So yeah, for me, absolutely. I feel America have a wider and bigger East Asian community and Pacific Islander community. So therefore, there's the stories, there's a bigger market there to be consumed. But also, British East Asians have been in this country for a long time, over 100 years. So that should also reflect society as well. I feel America a few more years ahead of us. I still feel we're trailing a little bit, but that's up for my colleagues and myself to start pushing for parts, creating our own parts as well for ourselves. I feel that's really important. But I've been in it for 16 years now. I have seen it evolve. I've went from doing, Chinese guy #1 to playing now leads on Silent Witness and being put up for leads as well. So I have seen a shift, and it's a positive direction, and hopefully it can keep going into that direction. And I will definitely be championing that moving forward, especially in the UK as well as the US, because I feel like US, it's they're getting their leads, and Michelle Yeoh winning the Oscar is monumental for the whole community as well, because we can finally see someone in ourselves and go, okay, it's achievable, whereas before it wasn't. And I feel like someone at SAG Awards said that we want box office, and that's not true anymore, especially with the change and shift in Crazy Rich Asians. That's really, especially for the West, that's really allowed consumers, audiences to want to understand and learn about East Asian culture and our families. But essentially, like, our families are all the same. We all have politics, we all have arguments, we all go through hurt, we all go through loss, we all go through love. And these themes are always really strong in cultures all across. So if we can start telling that and pushing for that as well in the UK, it'll be great. I mean, hopefully there'll be some cool projects coming up, and if I start creating some my own stories, I'll be able to maybe put myself in it or put other people in that spotlight as well. But yeah, I think there's a nice cultural shift happening, and I'm hoping to champion and ride on that wave moving forward.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I think that's a really good note to end on. Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. And I really can't wait for everyone else to be able to see Dungeons and Dragons next week, and really enjoy the premiere tonight. It sounds like it's going to be a blast.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy the show as well when you watch it.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Cheers.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.